people, so people want to know. So let's get to some state issues so we can see if they want to call their precinct committeeman or find out who it is. And you can go to your election board, find out who your precinct committeeman is, and you are more than welcome to call.
Absolutely.
And say, vote for this gentleman, vote for... How many people are running?
4 now.
4. And they can still declare, I take it, when you say now?
Yeah, we can declare, they can declare up to 72 hours before the caucus.
Okay.
So theoretically, you could have an unlimited number of people. It is going to come down, I think, unless somebody comes in I'm not expecting.
And if you win, whoever wins, they only win till November, and then they have to redo it anyway.
The winner's on the ballot. There's actually 2 caucuses. There's the first one to fill the vacancy. There'll be a second vote, which to actually fill the ballot vacancy. The second vote usually is done by acclamation.
Saying we already like this guy, so
this person won.
Be on the ballot. They wouldn't want to choose 2, because then you might you would have picked
Although
the other guy.
theoretically, what happened in the 3rd district caucus is all the candidates have to agree to go by acclamation and select the person that just won. Two of the candidates left before they got their signatures on that, so they did have to go back and re-vote in the 3rd district caucus. In the case of this, I'm sure.
Are you a precinct committeeman? Is
Absolutely.
that what you know? Okay.
Yeah, and I was up there, and so we'll have 1 vote to fill the vacancy. That will be the first vote. That person, once the vote's taken, they have the office.
That's the person's the 84th district.
Technically not. They probably have to go down to the state and swear in, but for all intents and purposes, they're the House rep. But there's still nobody on the ballot in November. But then there's a second vote to fill that seat. Of the 4 candidates, and probably what will happen is the 3 candidates that lost will withdraw, and we'll have all in favor of so-and-so say aye. The whole place will say aye.
Because you won't barely have time to get your feet wet, and then you'd have to do the November, which is easier. If we like this guy for now, we'll like him hopefully in November.
And whoever's going to win the first one is going to win the second one.
Right, because,
it's the same people voting. You know, it's just not going to change. And at that point, whoever runs hits the ground running.
Right.
With
let's
zero
talk about why you feel they should vote for you.
Okay.
Second Amendment. Where do you stand on Second Amendment?
Second Amendment for me is probably one of the easiest ones.
Okay.
I believe if we protect our Second Amendment, I can use my Second Amendment to protect the rest of them. Oh, enough said. I think the Second Amendment wasn't made for hunting. It wasn't made for shooting sports. It wasn't made to protect my home from the burglars. It was made to protect my rights from my government. That's controversial. It's not my opinion. It's the opinion of the people that wrote the Constitution. It's clear in the writings after the Constitution, and that's what
I completely 100% agree with you.
The argument of the Second Amendment is that, well, it means militia. They didn't mean for everybody to have guns. I'll buy that argument for a minute. Let's go to the state constitution. The state constitution says that every man, woman, and child over the age of 18 is in the militia. So even with their argument, according to Indiana law, every man, woman, and child, well, there's no child over 18, but every man and woman over the age of 18 has the right to keep and bear arms.
Right. And I completely agree because, you know, I don't know if you know this about me, but 2 years ago, I was completely on the other side of the aisle.
Yeah.
Liberal, you know, completely changed my life. And I was completely against guns, bought into the Brady Bill and everything else. The more you study, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I don't want the only people to have guns as the bad guys in the government.
Absolutely.
I want to protect my family.
Right.
And that's the
and you know, bottom line, there is, I say, if the Constitution wasn't written for protection. Protection is one of the byproducts of the rights we have, and it certainly was. The writers of the Constitution realized we lived in a dangerous world. They didn't expect you to wait for the government to protect you.
Right, because you think about a burglar coming in your house, and not that I'm promoting killing him, but are you going to wait for the 911 call to take 15 minutes?
Right.
Or
in the meantime, you're chopped and diced.
Protect yourself, bat, gun, whatever you feel is necessary.
And, you know, I'll be honest, I've always had firearms. I'm very careful. If somebody were to break into my house, probably wouldn't be my first weapon of choice. Because I got it locked in the safe and I'm not loaded. And an unloaded gun is pretty much high-tech. It's a high-tech club. But I'm a black belt, and I have plenty of other things that would be my first choice, and can be as lethal as a revolver. But
yeah, see, and I'm a gun owner now because I try not to be a hypocrite. I used to not believe it, and I figured out. I mean, I'm with you. I don't have it out or anything, but it's.
Yeah, I don't
want just the bad guys in the government.
We have an open carry law in India. which I'm not against open carry. I think the law's fine. I think it's tactically stupid to open carry. If I ever am in a
You're saying
situation...
you cannot have a concealed weapon
You can have a concealed weapon, you can carry it on your hip, you can wrap a big piece of leather around your head and stick it around your...
You can do whatever we want.
You can carry it, yeah. It can be concealed, it can be... personally though, open carrying is a political statement. There's nothing wrong with that. But if I'm carrying a gun, the last person I want to know I'm carrying a gun is the bad guy. I'm not wearing it on my hip. Tactically, if I ever have to be in a situation, God forbid that I have to use it, I don't want them to know I have it until
yeah, but they always think only the
out.
bad guys hide it, like you're saying, and they're absolutely right. They think, if I'm a good guy, I'm going to have it wide open to show the world. And I'm with you. It doesn't necessarily, it just means I'm protecting myself.
I'm not carrying my gun for a political statement.
Right.
I run for office. I'll go to all the NRA. I'm a lifetime member of the NRA.
Don't say that to me right now. I'm mad at them.
I get mad at him sometimes too.
Code of Gun Owners of America.
But yeah, it's one of those.
They sold us out with the Disclose Act, but that's
I don't disagree. But it's still a lot of money keeping our gun rights there, and sometimes they drop the ball. And part of the problem is they're so big.
Yeah, some places do get too big for their bridges.
But bottom line, I'm not carrying to make a political statement. I'm really carrying. If I'm carrying to protect myself. And if I'm somewhere where suddenly I'm in distress and my life is threatened, I don't want them to look and say, oh, let's kill the guy with the gun first. I don't want to know. The first moment I want them to know that I have a gun is when they hear it.
You don't want them in schools, but the more...
okay, I'll agree with that.
But the more I've learned, we actually tell the bad guys, school,
right,
gun-free zone.
That's not true.
So, the only people that have guns are the bad guys, and here we're showing you...
The same respect as somebody that's been involved in schools for a long time. I don't know what the kids are.
Correct, I'm not saying that.
We've got enough time. It's
I can be real controversial. I almost want the teachers to be allowed, but that's a whole other topic for another day. I won't even, because that's not right now politically...
I don't know that it's... I don't know.
But you're telling the bad guys, there's no guns in this property,
so you can't have an armed guard.
Okay, I'm not compromising that.
If you look at Fort Wayne Community Schools, generally there's a police officer or two in the school at all times.
I'm a little scared of that because I think you treat kids like animals. That's what you
you don't treat them as animals, but they also...
I didn't like the cops walking around, and I know it's very familiar now, but it's a different environment than
in Fort Wayne Community Schools, it's really worked out really well. Not in the high schools. The high schools, the police officers have pretty good relationships with kids. They know the kids, and sometimes it becomes a counseling thing. But with the elementary schools, they use the fire department.
Now that might seem a little more...
They're a little less intimidating. They still have...
you just see a cop, you think somebody...
They still have a badge, and those kids still see a man of authority.
But
they
yet
see somebody
not so
they can trust.
intimidating.
Not intimidating.
That might be good.
And that worked out nice. That was a nice compromise. And the fire department was very cooperative, and it also had some other educational opportunities for the kids.
Okay, homeschooling.
All for it. Always have it.
Indiana's a big homeschooling state.
It is. I come from a school system. School board members hate it. I'm probably one of the really weird ones that don't see a problem in it. Here's the deal. If you look at the statistics, homeschooled kids do better academically. The argument, many will make an argument socially. I know a lot of homeschool kids. Half my church is homeschooled.
And they can get around that so easily by putting them in a Girl Scout
They have
club.
Girl Scouts. In fact, that's where I met the first home. We chose not to homeschool.
Me too. But I met a homeschooler because her daughter was in my Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
I was the troop leader. And
that's where we were. We were both Girl Scout. I've been a Girl Scout leader since I was 18.
You don't look the part.
No, I don't. And you know what? It makes people nervous sometimes. It does. I've had parents get real... Not so much parents, but other Girl Scout leaders really offended with that.
But there's no way homeschool kids can't get better educated for the simple fact one-on-one.
One-on-one.
I don't care how dumb the parent is.
Exactly. I've seen parents with a high school education do just as well as somebody with a PhD.
Absolutely. Because you can concentrate on the areas your kids
If I could build
in.
a school where all the kids had one-on-one education with teachers, we wouldn't have an ISTEP problem. And it's...
I'm against ISTEP, but that's a whole
that's a whole other argument. I am too.
But you're right.
But but the point is test scores would be better, their education would be better, their SAT would be better, the whole works would be better.
No problem with...
But we also can't do that for everybody.
As an educator, that's really good to know because Indiana has I've learned over the last few years coming to the other side of the aisle that we have one of the largest communities in homeschooling. And I have a 1-year-old I'm actually thinking about doing this.
I'll tell you what I fear is there's no way this president's agenda succeed long-term without getting control of the kids.
Oh, absolutely.